Everybody, today we're going to learn about factorial. What is factorial and what can you do with it? Factorial of a number is the product of all the integers which are less than or equal to that number. Or in other words, factorial of a number is calculated by multiplying all the positive whole numbers which are less than or equal to that number. For example, factorial of 2 equals 1 times 2. Factorial of 3 equals 1 times 2 times 3. Factorial is marked with an exclamation mark. Factorial of 2 is marked as you can see here, and factorial of 3 is marked as you can see here. Let's see what it is and some examples. 2 factorial. Factorial of 2 is 1 times 2. That's 2. 3 factorial. Factorial of 3 is 1 times 2 times 3. That's 6. Factorial of 4 is 1 times 2 times 3 times 4, which is 6 times 4. 2 times 3 is 6. Times 4 is 24. And the same goes to 5. Factorial of 5 is 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5, which is 2 times 3 is 6 times 4 is 24. 24 times 5 is 120. And factorial of 6. Factorial of 6 is 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5 times 6. That's 24 times 30. 2 times 3 is 6. Times 4 is 24. And 5 times 6 is 30. That's 720. Let's see some more interesting stuff. Factorial of 2 times 3 is factorial of 3. When you take the factorial of a number and you multiply it by the next number, you get the factorial of the next number. Factorial of 2 is 1 times 2, and if you multiply it by 3, you get 6, which is the factorial of 3. The same goes to the factorial of 3. When we multiply it by 4, you get factorial of 4. That's 1 times 2 times 3, which is the factorial of 3. And you multiply it by 4, you get 24, which is the factorial of 4. And the same goes to factorial of 4 times 5. You get 5 factorial. A factorial of 5 in the same way. And the same goes to factorial of 5 times 6. You get factorial of 6. And factorial of 6 times 7, you get factorial of 7, which is 5040. Now, if you take the factorial of a number and you divide it by that number, you get the factorial of the previous number. So, factorial of 3 divided by 3 is the factorial of 2. And why is that? Because factorial of 3 is 1 times 2 times 3. And if you divide it by 3, it's as if you multiply it by 1, which leaves you with 1 times 2. And that equals 2, which is the factorial of 2. The factorial of 4, if you divide it by 4, what do you think the answer will be? That's right, factorial of 3. And why is that? Because the factorial of 4 is 1 times 2 times 3 times 4. You divide it by 4, it's as if you didn't multiply it at all, or just multiply it by 1. And that leaves you with 1 times 2 times 3, which is 6, which is the factorial of 3. And the same goes to factorial of 5 divided by 5, which is factorial of 4, which is 24. And the same goes to factorial of 6. And the same goes to the factorial of 6 divided by 6. It leaves you with factorial of 5. Again, 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5 times 6 divided by 6. It's as if you didn't multiply it by 6. You're left with the factorial of 5, which is 120. And the same goes to 7. Factorial of 7 divided by 7 leaves you with factorial of 6, which is 720. Now let's see some more interesting stuff. Factorial of 2 divided by 2 is the factorial of 1. As you can see in the previous slide here, if you take the factorial of a number, you divide it by the same number, you get the factorial of the previous number. So, factorial of 2 divided by 2, you get the factorial of the previous number, which is 1. So, 1 factorial, which is 1. And when you divide factorial of 1, which is 1, by 1, you get the factorial of 0. That's something you should remember, even though it sounds unreasonable. A factorial of 0 is 1, equals 1. You have to remember it and know it. So factorial of 1 equals 1, and the same goes to factorial of 0. It equals 1. Now you probably say to yourselves, okay, so you taught us what is factorial and now we can calculate it, but what do I do with it? What can be done with factorial? What do we need to learn about factorial? Well, factorial helps us know how many ways there are to arrange any number of items in one line. That can be kids or balls or candies or horses or chairs, whatever you want. Let's take an example of kids. So how many ways are there to arrange 2 kids in one line without repeating any combination, any way of arranging it? The answer is factorial of 2, which is 2. So let's see. You see the boy here and the girl here, that's 1. Now if we move the girl to the left and the boy to the right, we get the second option, second way of arranging it. There are no other ways of arranging them in one line. And how do we know it? By using factorial. So if someone asks you, how many ways are there to arrange 2 kids in one line? The answer is factorial of 2, which is 2. So, how many ways are there to arrange 3 kids in one line? The answer is right here, 6, a factorial of 3. So let's see, this is the first one, now a second, now a third. Again, without repeating any way of arranging it. So as you can see, these 3 are all different. And we have 3 more, 4, 5, and 6. All 6 of them are completely different from one another. So if someone asks you how many ways are there to arrange in one line, the answer is a factorial of 3, which equals 6. 6 ways of arranging 3 items. In this case, it's kids. So how many ways are there to arrange 4 kids in one line? The answer is right here, 24. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're going to fast forward it now. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and up to 24. So if you need to arrange items, in this case, it's kids, Can be, again, horses, candies, chairs, balls, balloons, whatever you want. If you want to arrange them in one line and you want to know how many ways are there to do so, the answer is factorial. This is why you need factorial. There are other usages for this in advanced math, but that's going to be covered in a different video. I hope you liked this video. If so, please subscribe to our channel and you'll get more videos. And also don't forget to like the video and share it with others. Goodbye.